A New York Republican believes that penguins are to blame for scientists discounting the COVID lab leak theory.
That all of a sudden you did a 180 and it couldn't possibly come from a lab, or maybe, but you're all saying that, you know, this was by sure from nature. What happened in those 3 days?
Well, we examined the genomes more closely. We looked at other coronaviruses, and there was some new data that came.
Where did that data come from?
The scientific literature, you know, the publication of the pangolin genomic sequence showed that there was a receptor binding domain that was very close to the...
And exactly what my colleague here brought up.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
and it was a very important piece of data because it showed that a lot of the theories about, you know, the virus having been engineered or put together in a laboratory were not true, because here was a virus in nature that had a receptor binding domain with exactly the same structure.
I just find it all interesting based on what my other colleague here, the chairman of the committee, said and with reply to the issue of the penguins. But
penguins? Penguins. What? Okay. Oh, all right. So hold on. That was Republican Representative Nicole Malliotakis, right? And apparently she is confusing penguins with pangolins. So, all right, let's just go through here and kind of show you the difference here. All right, so here's a penguin. Okay, that's a penguin. We know that's a penguin. Okay, very obvious. Here's a pangolin. So, pangolin, penguin, pangolin, penguin. Big difference. Big difference there. Okay. And yes, that is I believe that's either emperor or penguin. And you know, different types of penguin. Okay, don't, like, I'm gonna get sidetracked here. Okay, I'm gonna get stun locked. But there's clearly a difference. Clearly a difference. All right. And so again, not the same thing. Wow. Okay. So now let's get into a little bit of the research here that's being referenced. Okay, and I think that's pretty relevant, right? Especially since we're talking about pangolins and penguins and COVID-19. Well, back in 2020, researchers found a portion of the pangolin's genomic sequence was a 99% match for COVID-19. Oh, interesting. And so based on that, result, scientists speculated that pangolins may have been an intermediary host passing the virus to humans. So again, that's something that scientists do. They're like, oh, this is interesting. And then what they do is that they test and then they retest and they try to not find the right answer. They just try to eliminate all the wrong answers through testing. That's what scientists do. So now, at this point, we still don't actually know exactly where COVID came from. Okay? Now, the lab leak theory is one possibility. It hasn't been proven, hasn't been disproven. In fact, just last month, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released a report that's a declassified 10-page report that was essentially inconclusive on the origins of COVID. From the New York Times, last month, the 10-page report said scientists at the Wuhan Institute of Virology did conduct research on coronaviruses. In some cases, had inadequate safety measures. That's an issue. And had genetically engineered coronaviruses. Oh, interesting. Now, the same report, however, noted that intelligence agencies found nothing that tells them the work at the laboratory had ended up causing the pandemic. So, in fact, the report said that IC has no information, however, indicating that any WIV genetic engineering work has involved SARS-CoV-2, a close progenitor or a backbone virus that is closely related enough to have been the source of the pandemic. All agencies continue to assess that both a natural and laboratory-associated origin remain plausible hypotheses to explain the first human infection. So, again, we don't necessarily know the answer, but that's what science is for. They're going to continue to rule out things until they get to the answer. But I can tell you what the answer is not. I'm going to tell you what didn't happen. Penguins.